Welcome today. We've got Doug Allen, who is an investor. He's been doing flips for years.
Yes.
Owns property, held property, sold property to his tenants, and kept the paper.
Yeah.
And anyway, and you have a book.
Yeah. Yes.
What's the name of the book?
The truth is in the numbers.
And we have history.
Yes.
Your dad worked with us in the 80s.
Right.
We were doing a lot of different things.
Right.
We got stories.
We got stories.
So we're going to share stories today.
Yes.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
So life is good. We're blessed.
Yes, very.
But we're just talking about tenant evictions, and Mike and I were just commenting that we're not good managers,
Right.
which is true. One of the first things that I did when I got in real estate back in 2000 was my uncle recommended I go to the local association, RHA, Rental Housing Association. It doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
And so they had a whole slew of classes on managing property, stuff like that. So that was one of the first things I did the first couple of years I was in real estate. And then I managed after that, and I realized through managing I wasn't the right person for it.
I got recommended to read the book called Landlording, and I read that and thought, I got this. So
you started a few years ago too.
Oh yeah, a number of years ago.
The laws were different.
That's true.
A few years ago.
That's true. Yes.
Yeah.
And Mike,
I owned a management company twice.
Yeah. Why'd you do it the second time?
Because everybody kept calling me and they were upset that it wasn't being done right, and they just pleaded. Finally, we gave in, did it again.
But you did it the first time in the 80s, which is probably a lot simpler.
Yes, that's because we foreclosed on a lot of the properties, and we had to manage them, and it was with the company I was affiliated with.
So it's probably management by obligation.
Yes, so we kind of set it up and did all that. And then the second time around, all those people, after we quit doing it, they wanted us to get back in because we did it right. And
wait, didn't you fire yourself from that job?
We
or
did.
Your wife fired you?
1989.
It was a good year.
December. She wakes up in the morning and goes, "Mike, you're fired. I quit."
That's good.
So we closed down the corporation, closed down the real estate, and went to the traditional real estate, and then got rid of management. And I'll tell you, we slept so good because January 1990, there was a big freeze, and a bunch of the houses froze, piped, flooded, and everything. And we were done. We didn't have to fool with it because we already
sold it
to the other management company.
It's nice when you can sleep at night and not worry about stuff.
Yeah.
So, Doug, how did you get into real estate? When did you? At what age, and what got you in?
My dad got me in.
Okay.
He had always told me since I was a little tyke, what you need to do is buy a house. What you need to do is buy a house. So
that's who I was affiliated with what he was doing.
Right. Yeah. And he had come up from the Bay Area and kind of got tricky up here. A lot of people up here hadn't seen some of the things he was doing down in the Bay Area. So
now, by tricky, you mean sophisticated?
Special financing, like subject to financing, carrying financing, creative measures in financing to be able to obtain properties.
Okay. Well, which was very useful back in the 80s.
Yeah, back then for sure.
And that's the company I worked for. We did a lot of the purchase money, hard money, creative financing within the company.
And that's so great that you knew my dad. And I mean, it's wonderful when I see people that knew my dad back in the day because it's just heartwarming, you know.
He was very well liked in that group. And, and there was a lot of shady people in those days.
Yeah.
And your dad wasn't one.
Yeah, that's good.
He was a straight up shooter.
That's good. He's always told me win-win situations.
Yeah.
Be involved in a win-win situation and you'll go far. And I've always kept that true. Anybody I deal with, I want them to be winners. I want to be a winner too. And if we can create a win-win situation, it's good business. Yeah. So he always told me to buy a house, buy a house. I went in the Navy. I was in the Navy for 3 years. I saved up enough money to buy a house. So when I came back into town here in Roseville, he steered me towards a house that I looked at. I fell through the front porch when I went to look at it. It was so rotted out. And I said, "This is the one." He goes, "Yeah, this is the one. This is the one." So, okay. So I bought it for, I think, $33,500. I had $10,000 that I saved up in the Navy. I put it down on the property. And I went to work for a paving company. And over the course of about a year and a half or so, I fixed the house up for a nice place to live in. And I went back to the bank after a year and a half or maybe 2 years, and they said it was worth $75,000. And I was like, whoa! They loaned me $55,000. I only owed 25 on it, so I stuck about 30 grand in my pocket, which was unbelievable. And I thought to myself, gosh, I thought it was directly attributed to the fixing that I did to the property. And I thought to myself, if a guy could do this in a shorter amount of time, I could have a better income than I am working full time at the paving company.
Mm-hmm.
So I saved my money. I didn't go out and blow it. I saw friends get that kind of money, and they went out and got, a new boat and a new car. And 5 months later, the boat was busted in the driveway and the car was busted right next to it. I didn't want to go that route. So I saved that money, and I ended up buying another house and fixed it up and sold it. And I made, I think, 10 or 15 grand on that one. Put that on the pile. Didn't spend any of that either. And then I did another one, and I made about the same, maybe 15 or 20 grand. And at that point, I decided, I was still working as an employee for the paving company. And I decided I need to stop working as the paving company and just do this full time. Mm-hmm. So that's what I did. I started buying them, fixing them, and selling them. And I did that for, 8 or 9 years. And
when was this?
This was 85
okay.
To, I think, maybe 90, 92, maybe it was 84 to 90, 91. We went to war with Iraq, the first Gulf War in 90, I think. And I couldn't expect to buy houses, fix them up, and sell them again because the prices had just dropped. And at that point, the cheapest piece of junk in Roseville was $100,000.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now they were selling for 30, 40, and 50 all day long. And because I had bought and sold properties for, maybe it was only 6 or 7 years, but I saved my money. Each time I put it on the pile, I'd take a couple thousand and I'd go on vacation and I'd come back and get right back to work. I wouldn't dump the money.
Mm-hmm.
So but my net worth could never go over maybe 200, 250,000. Well, when this time came that all these properties were selling for 30, 40, and 50 grand here in Roseville, I saw opportunity. And because the cheapest piece of junk was 100,000 prior to, I saw value. So I started buying. I swore I'd never have any rentals because I've heard all the horror stories. But I couldn't expect to buy, fix, and sell properties. So I started buying rentals. And it was kind of nice in a couple senses. One sense was when I'm doing buy and fix and sell and I could only do 3 or 4 a year, I was only getting paid 3 or 4 times a year.
Right.
So now when I bought a rental, maybe I'm making $200, $300, $400 on one. And then I'm making $300 or $400 on the next one. Maybe I'm making $500 on this one. Next thing you know, I was growing my portfolio at 3, 4, 5. And all of a sudden I'm getting a monthly income that's paying my bills on a monthly basis. And that was exciting. So I continued to buy. My game plan was to own them after a year and then refinance them, get some money out of them, and go buy more. And I met somebody that was willing to refinance these properties within 2 months after I bought them.
Hmm.
So
now were these fixer-uppers or
they were slight fixer-uppers, carpet, paint, nothing big.
Okay, so
to be able to move tenants in. I was moving tenants in right away for $800, $900, $1,000 bucks.
So like Class B properties. So in my mind, I'm trying to see how this relates.
Right.
Class A doesn't need anything. Everything's perfect.
Yeah, no, they weren't Class A.
New,
they needed a little something.
Yeah, B is, okay, it might need carpet and paint, but they're going to be good for 10 years.
A little younger homes.
No, these homes were older homes in Roseville.
50s and 60s? Or?
50s, 60s. Some of them.
Back in the 80s, 90s, they're 20, 30 years old.
Yeah.
But some of them were moved to there from Rockland in the early 1900s.
Okay.
So,
right.
Some of them were built out of boxcars. I mean, it's kind of wild, wild west stuff a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, Class B and C, some of them needed a little bit more than carpet and paint.
Okay.
But
so
nothing major.
Yeah, I think of a C as more like something that needs some repairs. It's got some deferred maintenance. Maybe the carpet's older, the kitchen's older.
You need a roof, something simple like that.
Sure.
And
Maybe a roof.
D needs all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, it did. They weren't D.
Okay.
They were BC.
Now, with their flips, you'd buy D properties. So you'd go in and that would allow you to.
But at this point, I really wasn't doing flips because I was really busy acquiring rentals.
Right.
And this was making sense for me.
Yeah.
And I met somebody who was willing to refinance these properties within a couple months after I bought them. And because the market had just dropped from everything being worth 100,000, you were still getting comps for 80, 90, 75, 80, 90
Right.
for a property that I just bought for 30 or 40
Right.
and moved a tenant in. So now 2 months later, I get an appraisal. The appraisal comes in at, 80, 85 grand, and they loan me 80% of that. Well, I'm putting 20 grand in my pocket.
Right.
In a non-taxable event, because the IRS doesn't care how much you borrow on it while you own it. They only care about how much you sold it for.
Right.
And I'm not selling it. I'm just borrowing the money on the property. So now, instead of spending 2 months going in and fixing up this property and doing all this thing, I'm buying a house, refinancing it, and making 20 grand.
Yeah, and putting the tenant in immediately.
So I'm getting cash flow.
Yeah. And the income from the cash flow paid the mortgage payment and a little bit left over.
Because originally when I bought them, I was paying cash. But then as my money ran out after a few, I was borrowing. Like if I bought a house for 50, I'd borrow 40,000 hard money cash, and I'd give my lender 10% and a couple points.
Mm-hmm.
So, but then when I refinanced it, the interest rate was more like 5 or 6.
Mm-hmm.
So the payment, even though I was pulling 20 grand of equity out, the payment really didn't change too much.
Correct.
So I'm still making about the same amount of money,
Correct,
cash flow wise, on a monthly basis from the rental. And I stuck 20 grand in my pocket with all my money back. So I'd refinance one, and now I'd have money. I'd go out and buy 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then I refinance those, and now 4. Well, next thing I know, I had 40 properties, which was crazy.
Yeah.
And so, and that was, up into 96, probably. It took me for another 5 or 6 years to acquire that. I still did a couple flippers, but nothing on a full, like I didn't spend all my time doing it. More was acquiring these amount of properties.
Right.
So during that period, so that was by, like I say, 96 or 97. And at that point, properties were appreciating. Mm-hmm. And so from 98, 99 in that era to 2004 and 5, these properties I bought for 50 and 60 grand and some for 30 were growing substantially from 50, 60, 70 to 100 to 150,000 to 200,000 to 250,000. And some of them I started selling off at 100 and a quarter, 150, mm-hmm. which was a great profit. Some of them I held right to the end and sold for 350,000. Wow. Some of them I still own to this day, almost 30 years later. So it's just a wild ride with real estate. I mean, I just love it. It's just so exciting. Some of those properties I'd sell them, and I'd be the bank for the buyer, mm-hmm. Carry the financing for them.
Now, did you wrap the loan? Did you keep the existing financing on it that you had?
On some of them, I did. I would let them take it subject to. Okay. So I would.
Then you'd add a second onto it.
I do an all-inclusive loan.
Yeah,
all-inclusive deed of trust. Yeah. So if the loan amount was for 100,000 and I sold it to them for 200,000, I'd put a new note on it for 200,000 and charge a certain interest rate. And then once they made the payment to me, I would make the payment to my mortgage company. I would do that. It's kind of a short-term solution mm-hmm. for the situation.
When you say short-term, you mean like
a year? A year.
Okay.
Is probably good because the loan company could call the loan due and payable at any given time should they find that the deed was alienated. What I mean by that is if I had deeded the property into somebody else's name, they could say, hey, look,
you're going to call the loan.
They call the loan and it'd be due. So short term, I also bought properties that way too. I bought properties subject to or had somebody do an all-inclusive loan too. So it can work both ways.
Correct.
So
correct.
So yeah, that was the 40. Like again, I sold a bunch of them. Like I say, still sold a bunch for more. Still own some to this day. Then in 2005, 6, I think 7, the market really died. Those properties that grew from 50 to 300 and 350 dropped to 100,000. Mm-hmm. And some of those properties. So towards the end, what I was doing was I had 5 or 6 properties that were on the 15-year mortgage plan, and I owed 23 and 32,000 somewhere in that area. And in 7 or 8 years, they were going to be paid off, and that was kind of my retirement plan. I was going to have those paid off and only have to have those 7 or 8 rentals instead of this 40, which was a lot. And I mean, at some point, I put it on property management because it was a lot.
Yeah.
But so that was my game plan. Well, as they started to appreciate and being worth 200 and 250 and more, I ended so what happened was I started lending my money to other people who were doing flippers.
Okay.
So, and I had a guy who was direct contact with a couple of flippers. So what I would do was I would lend my money to them short term, 6 months max. And
to the flipper directly?
To the flipper directly through the broker, through my broker, through the broker.
The broker prepare all the paperwork so you didn't have to.
And back then, you didn't have to be MLS qualified. You could send one sheet of paper over to the title company explaining the terms of the loan and they'd draw up the note and deed of trust, and that was it. So fairly simple back then. Now it's a little more complicated. So I started lending out. Well, then I ran out of money quickly, but I really liked lending that money. Scary at first, super scary to loan $100,000 to somebody.
Yeah. Now, what were the terms that you were getting?
12%. 12% on my money. And at that time, I wasn't an agent, so I wasn't sharing in any part of the brokerage fee, although they were charging 10 points to loan that money. 10? 10. So they were charging. So if they borrowed $100,000, it'd be 10 grand right out of the gate for them. And
so they would net 90. They would take it right out of the note, and they would net 90.
Oh, you mean the flipper,
borrower.
take away
the borrower,
90,
the borrower. Yeah,
wow,
that's what we did in the 80s. Similar, exact same thing.
Yeah, and so
only we were,
I guess
only we were 20 and 22% with 15 points.
Right.
Points. Wow.
Oh, it was.
I'm used to 2 points.
No, I know. And so.
I complained at 3 points.
Sure, of course. So at 1,000 or at 100,000, at 12%, I was making $1,000 a month on interest only payments.
Right.
And then I'd loan another. And they weren't all at 100. Some were 52,000. Some were 70,000. Some were. So, but next thing you know, I had a nice little income coming in from the few notes that I did. So I went out and all these 15-year mortgage properties that I had, I borrowed $250,000 on every one of those properties and started lending that money out.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I got jealous of the 10 grand they were charging on loaning 100,000. So I went out and got my real estate license so that I could share in a portion of that brokerage fee. And originally I was getting a third of that brokerage fee. So now if it was a $100,000 loan and they charged 10 grand, I'd get 3,300 of it because there was 3 of us. There was me, the broker, and the broker's brother who was an agent as well. So now, after a period of time, so I'm becoming familiar with the borrowers intimately. They're calling me a lot, directly. And one of the guys, the brother, moved out of state, so now I'm getting 50% of the brokerage fee. So now on a loan that's $100,000, and they charge 10 grand, I'm getting 5 grand of that money plus the $1,000 a month on the interest that I'm making. Well, after a period of time, there was one of my houses that burned down, and I went down to talk to an attorney about working it with the people who were doing the reconstruction.
Now, was this a house that you owned?
Yes, a house I owned burned, and I hired a restoration company to do it, and they had falsely forged my name on a check to get some of that money from the mortgage company. So I had to hire
an insurance company and the mortgage.
So I had to hire an attorney to address that. Well, through that, the attorney, they started talking with them, and he said, "You're getting sharing 50% brokerage fee. Bring your license down here, and we'll just charge you 5% of the brokerage fee." So the borrowers were calling me directly. So I moved my license from the guy who I was with down to here. So now I'm getting 95% of the brokerage fee if I'm making that loan.
Right.
At one point, I had 1.8 million out in loans, and I'm bringing in 18 grand a month in interest on the thing, not to mention what the brokerage fee was bringing in. And just to give you an idea, I have a house here, just take one of those properties, a 15-year mortgage property. On a 15-year mortgage property, I'm making, $200-300 a month on that rental property. But I borrow $250,000 on that, and now I'm losing $500 or $600 a month on that property because I borrowed it on an adjustable rate, a teaser rate to start with. I put a couple $100,000 in my pocket. I loan $100,000 to this guy and $100,000 to this guy, and I make $9,500 once I make the loan, and another $9,500 once I make the loan, and $1,000 a month on each deal.
Yeah.
Right? Then in 3-4 months, they do the flipper and they fix it and sell it, and I get all the money back and I lend it again.
Do it again, yeah.
So it was just insane. It was just insane. Well, at one point, so that was going very well. I was totally excited
So
about
you didn't mind losing the $500, what you're saying?
No. So, at one point, it just became so scary that I'm only human. I know I'm looking for a place. This is going to fall apart. This is too good.
Mm-hmm.
And I started getting scared. What happened is these 15-year mortgage properties that I had, now I owe $250,000 on them. Yeah, they're worth $325,000. But I know if I sell them, any money that's extra there goes to the feds to pay the taxes on it. So virtually what I had was a 15-year mortgage plan, my retirement plan. They're worthless assets now.
Yeah.
They're completely worthless. So I started selling those properties off. And people were coming to me.
Keeping the money and selling the property off because you
already had the money.
Cash,
I already cashed out of the property, but didn't have to pay the taxes. The tax man didn't come due because I borrowed the property, but the tax man's going to come due when I sell it.
When you sold it.
I sell it.
Yeah.
So I didn't make anything on the sale. I sold them, started selling them for $300, $325, whatever, and didn't make any money on the sale.
Right.
I mean, I made money, but
that went into the IRS. Yeah.
That money goes to.
So if you made $50,000, that $50K went over to the IRS.
Probably, and then a little.
And
yeah.
then some.
Yeah, because I had depreciated. Only paid $50,000 for the property. Probably depreciated it down to a 30. And so now when I sell it for $300, it looks like I made $270,000. So
30% taxes.
Right. Exactly. So
it's $90,000.
Right. So it was not just that 50 or 70 that I'm making in quote unquote profit, but I might have to toss in a little too. Yeah. So they were worthless assets to me.
Right. So you didn't do a 1031?
Because here's why I didn't do 1031. I'm scared when I buy properties for $50,000, but now I got to buy the same property for $300 or $325. I don't feel like it's such a deal. I just soon pay the tax and be done with it.
That's true.
That's how I feel. Yeah. And I know a lot of people believe in 1031s. I'm not too happy with 1031s because I'm buying at a higher value. That's just me. If I was selling for 50 and I'm buying for 60 or 70, maybe that's a different story. But these properties I bought for 50, now I'm selling them for $325, sometimes $350. So I didn't want to trade that for that. I just soon pay the tax and be done with it. So what happened was some of the borrowers were coming to me wanting to borrow based on what I was selling that I thought was worthless assets, and they wanted me to loan 65, 70% loan to value. And so if you're loaning 70% loan to value on a property they're saying is worth $300,000, that's $210,000 loan.
Right.
And I was scared. At that time, I was getting scared that I had so much money out. I mean, I had so much money out at one point. I was completely broke. I didn't have any cash. They sent me this visa and say, hey, borrow the money. Here's a $40,000 visa. Borrow it interest free for 6 months. And somebody come to me and want to borrow $40,000. I went down and cash advanced the visa and loaned them the money because I'm making 10 points and 12% interest, and they're giving it to me it's scary
for 6 months.
It's scary.
You're highly leveraged.
Oh, and so I got scared, and then when they started coming wanting to borrow on these properties that I thought were worthless assets, and I'm selling off, I stopped making those loans. Mm-hmm. I stopped making the loans, and as the loans were paying off, I was sticking the money in the bank because I just had a feeling. It wasn't like I knew or saw any market crash or anything. I was just scared, and these were short-term loans. It's not, and the loan to value was great. It wasn't like
was this before the collapse?
This was before the collapse.
Okay, before 07, 8.
And the nice part is a lot of people wanted to get in on that 12% that I was making. Yeah. So as the borrowers were still wanting to borrow the money, I started lending their money out and just putting the brokerage fee in my pocket. So I was still doing loans,
Yeah.
but I wasn't loaning my money out. My money was
them and making a little.
I was making the
points.
brokerage fee.
Yeah,
on the points.
Yeah.
So and when it started crashing, again, some of those properties I still own to this day that I bought for 50 rode to 350, back to 100, and now they're worth 350 or 400 again. Mm-hmm. But it's a wild ride when you do that, especially if you have money lent out. And I lost on a couple deals. I lost $75,000 on one deal and $55,000 on another deal that I had loaned the people the money, and then the value just wasn't there anymore, and I couldn't.
So they had to short sell.
Yeah, and you're talking about you loaned it to the flippers.
I loaned it to the flippers.
Couldn't make it.
The flippers.
The market
died. The market died, and they couldn't expect to sell it, and it wasn't even worth what I had loaned them.
Yeah.
So they just deeded the property over to you, and you sold it.
On one deal I had to foreclose on. One deal was not even worth chasing. It was just I didn't even want it because it was worth so much less. Because I mistakenly made a second on a higher first, and the first come due,
and they took it over,
and I just couldn't. I couldn't cure the first to make it worth. That's the one I lost $75,000 on. Mm-hmm. I couldn't cure the first to make it make sense there. So
yeah, so you let the first foreclose.
I let the first foreclose and lost my $75,000.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, but all in all,
well, it's better that you weren't more deeply involved in the market.
Yes, for sure.
So did you go to the sale when that went to the foreclosure sale?
No, I didn't do it.
Did someone buy it or did the bank get it back?
I honestly don't know.
Because there's a technique for that too.
Is there?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you held the second.
Yeah.
So if you went down to the auction and there were bidders down there bidding, you could have been a bidder because you held the second for free.
Wow.
So you could maybe have bid it up 10, maybe 15 over the opening bid because the first got paid and the overage went to the second.
Right.
So you could have maybe recouped a portion of your loss.
Yeah.
By being a bidder.
Didn't even think of that.
Because anything over the first will pay towards the second.
Sure.
Third,
I didn't even think of that. Yeah. I just was like, blackjack dealer, I'm done.
We did a lot of that stuff in the 80s.
Yeah. I didn't even dawn on me to even
creative. But you got to have somebody who's willing to pay over, because otherwise you end up getting.
Well, what we did is we found somebody that had the second, and we went and bought the second for like $500. Yeah. It was like a $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 second. So then you go down to the auction. The first would start the foreclosure. You have a whole bunch of bidders, and we just bid it up, stop bidding. They'd get the property, pay off the first, and we'd get the profit. We only paid $500 for the note, and we'd get $10,000.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the note business.
It reminds me of when I think I was probably 17 years old, and my dad knew this guy that lived nearby us, and he was a wheeler dealer in properties. And he would buy a property or get a property and go in there and rent it out. And what he would do, this is crazy. He would go to, knowing somebody was going in foreclosure, he'd approach them and say, "Hey, look, the place is going in foreclosure. Why don't I give you $1,000 and you can deed the house over to my name and you can walk and you'll be good."
Yep.
So he'd get them to deed the house into his name, but he would never go record that paperwork.
Correct.
He would never go record that paperwork, and he would rent the house out, get a full deposit and rent it for 2, 3, 4 months, however much he could, and collect the rent while it's going through the foreclosure. And the sellers, the people who own the place, were still getting the notices, but they're like, "Oh, it's all taken care of because I already deeded it." And I know.
So then he let it foreclose.
That's not good business.
No, that is not good business. But he used to hire me to go clean the house out because they would leave all their stuff there. So I'd go clean everything out and take it away. But I knew that's what he was doing because he shared with me after the fact. I didn't know at the time. But yeah, so
there are a lot of shady, crazy, wild
stuff.
Things.
Yeah.
And there's good ways to be creative and not so good ways.
Yeah, that's a not so good way.
Yes.
Agreed. I agree.
That's taking advantage of people.
I agree. Yeah. No, that's no good.
Yeah. That was one thing I learned about your dad. He was a straight up shooter. If it wasn't like you said, win-win scenario. He used to come in the office and they'd sit and talk with Kathy. It was my wife. Because Kathy was the CEO of that part of the business.
Wow.
For Jay Nicholson. Wow. And it was funny. He would come in and sit in front of her desk and they'd talk for a while.
Oh man, he's always happy and jovial.
He is.
He
was a funny guy. And then I'd walk into the office because my office was right next to hers, and I'd walk in and he'd be sitting there. And we've had a lot of drinks together. We've done a lot of things.
Oh, that is so good to hear. That is so good to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, a book you wrote. I want to talk a little bit about the book.
Yeah, the book
Tell us about
called
that.
"The Truth Is in the Numbers." It's
what inspired you to do that? You know.
Well, my dad had just died, and my daughter was coming of age, and I just felt like I had a lot of knowledge to share about the business, and I wanted to share that. I mean, even in the opening paragraphs, I say, "Oh, you go to these seminars, and they promise to tell you everything about real estate, and then you come to find out they want $10,000 to buy their package to hear everything."
Yeah.
And I thought, let me go ahead and share what I can about the business, and maybe that would help or inspire somebody to get involved. And even it's just a very basic, even chapter 1 is wealth building 1A. And I just go over, like I say, some basic stuff, about getting a savings account and saving and without an ATM card, just dumping money into savings and saving money by getting used tires and just basic in the beginning stuff, just wealth building in the very beginning to save money. And then once you get some money, getting it into some real estate, and then different ways to be involved in real estate, rentals, notes, so many different titles you can have, an agent, being a lender, just so many different titles you can have when you're involved in real estate. And that's one of the things I like about real estate is you're not really, stuck in one spot. You can be
very diversified
job.
Yeah.
Yeah. You could be many different things within the real estate department, like, like say agent, lender, buyer, rental holder, flipper, note, like you were saying, involved in some note dealings, so many different things. So,
yeah. Well, that's one thing Joel and I figured out. We both entered into the industry working with investors.
Yeah.
My first day, that's what I did. I worked for an investment company where your dad hung out with us.
Right.
And once you go through that process and you understand things, it's amazing how many doors open up, because
for sure,
in my career, I ended up going to a traditional office, and I ended up managing a traditional office. You end up dealing in the note business. I was in a management company, owned that, owned my own real estate company over the years. Don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to do management anymore. I mean, we learn.
We learned what we like to do.
I was young. I had a lot of energy. You're going for it. As you get a little bit older,
sure,
you just want
more priorities.
You want to sleep at night.
Yeah, sleep at night. And so, when you look back at a career and you say, gosh, I really did a lot of things. Real estate allowed that to happen.
Yeah.
It allowed you to get involved in different facets. And my problem, I don't know about you, but I get bored.
Yeah.
So if I get into something and I get it going and it works really well and you get this repetition thing going, I'm kind of bored.
You need the excitement of a challenge.
Yeah, so then you come over here and you go, this looks interesting. And then he's doing
so many different hats you could wear. It's great.
Yeah.
It's really great.
Yeah. So now going through a new phase, and Joel and I are partners, and we're doing a lot of out-of-state stuff.
Right.
We're building some houses.
And that's exciting.
Yeah, and it's working out quite well.
You guys are doing some building too.
We keep them entertained.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We found an incredible little market. So
that's great.
Yeah. We have 2 builds going on right now, and we have a couple more.
In this area?
No.
Oh.
No. This is not in California.
Oh, this is not. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
How exciting. Good job.
Arkansas. So.
Wow.
Yeah, we just stumbled across things because if you go out and do enough investigating, talking to a lot of people, you just kind of go, I think I want to try that.
Yeah. And I know you guys were excited about Arkansas and a couple of areas down in that area when we had talked just a few years ago.
Yeah, Oklahoma, we're real happy with. Northern Alabama, we're real happy with.
Right.
And then we've identified another really cool market in Tennessee that we've got to do our research on first. And
we're probably going to go in the next few weeks.
Go check that out.
Well,
and
that's
bring
exciting.
that back to our clients and say, you don't need to go there. We already did.
Right. And that's what's nice is you guys do the homework. You do the backside of it. So when now somebody comes in,
They don't have to
you've
do
already
anything.
right. You've already investigated.
Yeah,
Yeah.
already know. We already
Yeah,
know what
that's
to do, how to
exciting.
do it, and the people and the boots are on the ground.
Yeah, well, that's great.
So that's what we do.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite part? And it probably has shifted over the years.
Oh yeah, I loved the lending. I loved buying and fixing and selling because I got up early and I'd have guys work on camaraderie of the job, guys there working, construction guys, and I did that, but became too much after a while because it's like dissecting an elephant, and then you got to think about this leg this time, but you got to have forward vision on. You got to get the gut, there. So I got to set things up and say it's a lot, and you're back and forth from Home Depot, 5 times, lumberjack, Lowe's, whatever.
Yeah.
Any construction places.
A day.
Yeah, a day.
5 times.
Five times a day.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you realize you're short, and the guys are there. I got to run and get it real quick.
Yeah.
So I loved doing that. And then I was very excited when I was acquiring the rentals. When I was getting those rentals for, in Roseville for 30, 40, and all day for 50, and they were just sitting on the market. It's not like there was any rush to buy them. They were just sitting there. Nobody was touching them.
Yeah.
When that time was there and I was buying those, I was telling Frank Castro, who was my agent at the time, I said, man, we're going to look back on this time and really go, wow, that was a time. And I still do. It was a time. So I really loved doing that too. Then when I got into the lending, I was lending my money out. I was totally excited about that too.
What would you do after the collapse? So
after the collapse,
after
I wrote that book, I think in 2007, right? And then by 2009, I was out buying again. I was buying mostly. When I wrote that book, I had some people were coming to me, asking me, where's the market going? Where's the market? And I really felt like we were at a low in the market. I started buying again. As a matter of fact, in 2009, April 9th, 2009, I made the front page of the SAC-B. Front page, not business section, front page. My buddy calls me, hey, well, you made the front page of the paper today. I'm like, what do you mean? What, business section? He says, no, front page, Sunday edition. Go check it out.
Wow.
It says on the front page of the Sunday edition of the Sacramento Bee, it is now possible to buy a house in Sacramento for less than the price of a Honda Accord. And they had a big picture that I had just bought for $22,000 down there. And these were, so I'm buying them for 22, and it's the same thing repeated like I did in Roseville. I'm buying them for 22 and 30 and 32.
Were those condos or what?
No,
what
single family resident properties.
And most of them were REO at the time.
Oh, and the mortgages on them were 200 and 250,000.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, the one that I got for 22,000, I had in contract for 26,000. And every day I'm looking at the market because I'm buying these properties left and right. I ended up spending all my money down there. I was completely broke, and I had, I think, 25 or so, and I knew it was an exciting time. So I went out and borrowed hard money to buy more because I knew what I had there. The mortgages on it were, 200, 250,000. I forgot what you were saying. What are they? What you asked me?
They were REO.
Oh yeah,
they were REO.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I was saying the one
I strictly from the banks or the
strictly
REO
from the
agents.
bank or the REO agents, and
That
some
was
of
what
them
I
they
did.
had so many properties, files like this stacked high on their desk, 3, 4, and 5, that they were so mismanaged. It was unbelievable. The one I bought for 22, I had in contract for 26,000. And a week had gone by. I'd already put my deposit into escrow and the title company. And I look on the market and I see this property that I have in contract for 26,000 on the market for 22,000.
Oh yeah.
And I called the agent. I said, "What's going on? I got this in contract for 26,000." He says, "I don't know what to say. Write the offer for 22, and we'll do it for that then." I mean, there was such mismanagement on those properties down there. It's unbelievable. And the mortgages were 200 to 250,000, and I bought them left and right for 22.
Wonder how
30,
many you
30.
actually bought from my. I was a REO agent. I've been to REO agent since 1981.
Wow.
I listed my first REO.
Very
So
possible.
Probably your agent probably came in and bought. We were closing 250 a year REOs.
Well, by then I had my license.
Okay.
But I had partnered up with another guy because I had this other guy. I had this property came across my lap in Marysville. And I went to my buddy, and I was out of it. I was kind of, I really didn't want to. My net worth was grown substantially, and I felt the liability squeeze, and I didn't want to mess with anything. So I got an apprentice program going, and I went out to 3 or 4 people, and I said, hey, I'll tell you what, you go find a property, you use me as the agent to purchase that property. I'll lend you the money to do the deal, and I'll charge you a percentage to lend you the money. Then when you go to sell, you use me as the agent to sell, and you keep all the profit. The person that makes the most profit is going to be my new partner, and we're going to get out and start doing some things. So
That worked.
So this guy comes to me with his property, and he says, hey, I got this property. And I go, okay, well, let's do it. Well, I can't put it in my name, he says. I said, I can't. What do you want me to do? He says, well, see if you can find somebody that wants to get it.
Why can't he put it in his name?
I forget what the reason was.
Bad credit.
I don't know
probably
why.
had an IRS lien.
I don't know why. Well, I was going to lend the money. I was going to be the lender on the deal.
He may have some back
maybe
issues.
Right.
I don't know what the reason.
Child support.
I don't remember.
Child
I'm sure he told me at the time, but I don't honestly remember what it was. And I said, well, put in your daughter's name. His daughter was my personal assistant at the time. Yeah. Oh, she can't put in her name because I go, what do you want me to do? I go, here, I'm offering you this deal. And, and so I went out, I called the Haran brothers. Do you remember the Haran brothers? So I called the Haran brothers, and they said, yeah, we'll loan you 100% plus the money to fix it. And so I talked to these other couple guys that I had talked to, and I said, hey, I got this property. It's up here. You can make 30, maybe even 40 grand on this deal. It's a hot little deal. I got all the financing in place for you. I tell the first guys I'm not going up to Marysville. So I talked to the next guy. The next guy is selling cell phones down there in Fairfield. He's driving from Roseville to Fairfield every day. He says, I'll go up there. I'll go up there and do it. He did it. He made like 40 grand. He was making 40 grand in a year. He did this in a month and a half. He was making 40 grand all year working for the seller. He come up knocking on my door every single day. And he didn't know much. But I'd rather have a guy who didn't know much, who's knocking on my door every day and ready to go, than a guy who knows everything, but you got to go pick him up to get him to the job, or he doesn't show that day.
Yeah.
So he's knocking on my door every day. Well, we end up doing things together. He ended up getting his license. And so I started we started doing things. I had him represent with his license on deals on stuff I was buying, and it worked well. He ended up doing a management company, and so it worked out. A win-win situation, just like I love win-win situations. Yeah. So
I don't represent myself on any of my transactions.
You don't,
not personal stuff.
Sure,
not my personal stuff.
Yeah,
I always have an agent.
Why?
I don't want to take the liability.
Right.
It's just you get better service. You don't. It's like managing your own real estate. You kind of fall for the stories.
Well, they say if you're an attorney or if you represent yourself in court, you have a fool for a client, right?
Yeah.
Kind of. So I'm the same along the same lines. Yeah. Not exactly, but
I just don't want to make a mistake, and you pass all the liability over to the real estate agent.
True. It's true.
And a lot of the stuff that we're doing is out of state. So I have a property on.
Out of state, no.
Yeah. I have a property in Tennessee. But even here, as I was acquiring my properties, I always had an agent.
Even for your personal property? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now, the house that I bought in Lincoln was a brand new construction. So you basically represent yourself. But I didn't get the commission. I had an agent come and represent me when I bought my house in Lincoln.
Okay.
So, because a lot of the builders weren't participating if you were a buyer.
Right.
Then as an agent.
Right.
And it didn't bother me. I didn't need the money, and I wasn't greedy.
Yeah.
So I said, if you're going to give it away and somebody's not, and nobody's going to get it,
have one of your
I'm going to bring some of my friends in.
That's right.
Take me on a vacation, pay for a little snippet. Take me out to dinner. Take me to dinner or something.
Of course.
And that's what I did.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. I didn't want to give it away. So, that's just me personally.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, I feel the same way.
They work hard for a license. I work hard for a license, and I'm not greedy.
Yeah.
Spread it out there.
Yeah.
So, did you keep doing stuff with him?
Yeah, I did for a while, and we had a falling out. He had moved in some tenants and wasn't taking care of the tenants, and they left on me because he didn't fix an oven or something. I don't know. And then he ended up moving to Reno, so we didn't do much anymore. By then, I had bought a total of owning 35 properties at that point, mostly in the north area, these ones that were I buying for 20, 30, 40, and 50 grand.
North Sacramento.
Yeah. And I had moved tenants in for, $800, $900, sometimes $1,000 a month, creating a 25% return on my money. So that's why I didn't really have a problem towards the tail end in borrowing some hard money at 2 points and 10% interest, because I'm making 25% on my money.
Yeah.
So I ended up buying, like, say, up to 35. And then I don't know when it was, 2020, I think.
COVID.
Yeah, it was COVID time. And I just felt like the market and maybe it was, I guess maybe it was 2018, 19, and 20. These properties that I had bought for, 20, 30, 40, 50 grand down there had appreciated to, 100, 150,000.
Yeah.
And I had a guy who was a flipper who started approaching me to buy some of these houses. So I just started selling them off for anywhere from 100 to 150,000. And he took the tenants as is, took the house as is. So it was a very easy sale.
So he took the hassle.
He took the hassle. And that was really the key, is I exited with a nice little income. I had rented them, like I say, in 2009, 10, and 11 when I bought all those. So I had them for, 8, 9 years. When you're making 20 to 25% return on your money, you're getting all your money back in 4 to 5 years.
Yeah.
So I rented them out for, 8 years or so. So I got all my money back almost twice. And I started selling them. Then I sold them for all my money back twice on a rental, and then sold them for double, triple, quadruple what I paid for them. So to me, it was a real winner at the time. I had no idea that I was walking away, because I'm down to 8 now. So that means I sold 27 properties for probably 100 to 150,000 less of what I could have sold them for just in the recent past.
Sure.
Yeah. I had no idea I was walking away from 3 or 3.5 million in equity. But like I say, they were real winners at the time. In retrospect, I probably should have waited a little bit longer to sell those properties, but
at least you have 8.
That's right. That's right. So those properties, I just started selling them off. Some of those properties, 2 or 3 of those properties, I actually one I bought for, I think, $42,500. Rented it for $1,000 a month for, I think I put $3,000 into it. So I was in for 45 grand or so. I rented it for $1,000 a month for the first 2 or 3 years. And then I gave her a discount and rent to $900 for another 2 or 3 years. And then I rented it for $800, dropped another $100 for another 2 or 3 years. And then I sold her the house. I paid $42,500, rented it for like 8 years, maybe 9 years. Then I sold her the house for $110,000, and she put $10,000 down. I carried $100,000 at 12% with $1,000 a month payment. So her rent technically went back up a couple hundred. Plus, of course, she was obligated for the tax insurance. That was probably, I don't know, 9 or maybe about 9 years ago is a guess. And I told her, if you make an extra payment, 4 times a year, I'll carry the loan for you forever. You'll never have to go to the bank to get to qualify to borrow on the property. I'll carry the loan forever. To this day, she's still making payments on that property, but she has been so dutiful about paying that mortgage down. She only owes me $22,000 to this day.
Oh, wow.
And she's ecstatic. She's going to have a mortgage-free home in less than 10 years from the time she bought it. And for me, it was a real winner. I doubled my money on the rent. I doubled my money again on the sale. And I'm sure I made a bunch more money on interest over the period of the time that I've had it. So a real winner for her. And then another property I had bought for, I think, $50,000. And I sold it to her for $325,000. I carried the note for her for 6%. She put 50,000 down, I think, and the payment on it is like $1,200. She was living in a rental for $1,450, and they were wanting to jack the rent to 15 plus. So she owns her own house. Again, I told her, if you make an extra payment 4 times a year, I'll carry it forever for you. So that's worked out well. From the point I had the 8 or
so you're getting 16 payments instead of 12 payments. What you're saying?
Right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Double payments 4 times a year.
And
then
you
it goes to
disperse
principal, or
that goes to principal.
okay, so the
And then
extra payment is 100% principal.
The extra payment is 100% principal. And I told her that each time she pays 4 payments down, approximately, and the loan balance comes down to 5, I drop her payment down. Same thing with the gal on the first one. Each time it came down 10,000, the payment dropped 50 or $100. I don't know exactly.
Sure,
I'm not doing the
you
math.
re-amortize basically.
Right. So if she pays it down, now the payment drops 25 or 50 bucks.
re-amortize every year.
Yes, every time she does the extra 4 payments.
Right.
So if she does it right at the beginning of the year, we do it right away. So each time the loan balance comes down, we put a new payment for her so that the payment drop. It's an incentive for them to drop it down because
that's great.
Yeah,
absolutely.
No, it's 6%, and then it amortized over 20 years, 30 years.
I think it was just a 5-year note, but I told her, you make 4 payments, I'll carry it forever.
You just keep
I just keep running it. Same thing with the first gal. It was a 5-year note.
I mean, that's the prepaid.
No, interest only payment. Interest only payment.
Oh, it's interest only.
It's an interest only payment.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't do it's because the amortization is so hard to figure. With an interest only payment, at 250,000 at 12%, the payments.
It's easy calculation.
It's an easy calculation, and then when it gets knocked down 5, it's again an easy calculation. When it gets down it's an easy calculation.
Yeah,
so it's an interest only with a principal reduction annually.
Yeah, well, for principal payments.
Yeah, 4 principal payments. So
okay, I've never heard of that.
Yeah. Oh, you could do.
No, that's brilliant. It keeps it super simple.
It keeps it simple on the math end.
See, that's what's nice about the note business. You could be real creative.
You can do whatever you want.
You can do all kinds of fun things and take care of people in a good way.
Yeah, it met her needs, and that was the main thing.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I would have liked to get 12% like I did on the first note, but the first property was sold for $100,000, so the payment was $1,000 a month.
Yeah.
This one was sold for much more, so I had to reduce the interest rate.
The interest rates in those days at that time was like 6-7%.
Right.
So it's kind of hard charging 10.
Yeah.
When you can go out and get a mortgage. So usually when you do private, you can bump it an extra point or so above the average.
Yeah.
Rate.
Yeah.
If your rent comparison is like,
yeah,
a lot higher relative to what your mortgage payments be, you can bump the interest rate up because they're still getting a better deal than what they would pay.
And you're structuring it based on the need of the tenant or the new owner, the occupant or whatever. Yeah, it makes sense.
What time is it there? You got Mike?
20 after.
20 after 11. So I was going to say that I had this one deal up in Lincoln, and it was a friend of mine. He used to be a tenant of mine, and we became friends, and he wanted to buy this property up in Lincoln. He was paying, I think, 200. Yeah, he's paying about $200,000 for this property. It was 5 acres in Lincoln, but it was a burned down mobile home or a manufactured home. So it did have a foundation on it.
Sure.
But it was a manufactured home, and he wanted to buy it, and he called me, wanted to borrow $100,000 to buy it. He had $100,000 to put down. I really wasn't in the mode. I was in the mode where I was bringing in them. I get in these different modes, like this obsessive compulsive type of stuff. It's a great character asset, but it can be a bad character defect at the same time. So I have to kind of balance it. Like when I'm buying properties, when I was buying those 40 properties, people were like, what do you? And I even started thinking, God, what am I doing buying all these properties like this? And you got doomsayers out there. Oh man, I remember when I bought those properties and they dropped in value, blah blah blah. So
market timing.
It was timing.
So important.
So important. Yeah. Very, very important. Very important. But anyway, I said, well, who's representing you on the transaction? He said, well, I'm going with the agent that's selling it. I said, don't do that. Get some representation for you, for your side. Let's get some representation for you. So I ended up having Nick represent him on the purchase. And he said he wanted to borrow the money, so I sent him a couple of hard money lenders. And the first lender said that he would not make the loan because it was just basically dirt, and he didn't loan just on dirt.
Right.
The second guy said he would make the loan, but he would only do it for 1 year. And so he had negative news on the borrow end of it, even though we had representation, and Nick, we got the price down, I think about 20 grand, and got him down to less than two. I think it was 220 he was paying. So we got him down to 200 because I know we negotiated a deal for him, got some discount for him. So anyway, he says, Doug, just please, make me the loan. And I didn't want to make the loan. I just did. I wasn't in that mode where I was lending money. I was in the mode where I was bringing money in.
Yes.
I had just sold my personal house for $725. I didn't owe anything on that. That went on the pile, and I had almost $2 million in cash that I was just trying to pile it up and get there. I'm getting 5.5% on a money market account. So I got a great little income on this cash. I'm excited about that. So he says, Doug, just please lend me. I need to borrow the money. I need for 5 years because I'm going to, he had a great job where he was and he was going to build the house slowly but surely over a period of time to rebuild a nice house for himself there. And he's going to take him 5 years.
Ooh.
I know. And I said, man, I don't want to make this loan. I tried to talk him out. I said, you know what? You don't want to borrow my money. My money is 12%, and it's 10 points to borrow the money too. So if you borrow 100,000, you're only going to get 90 of it, and it's 12%. So the payment's going to be $1,000 a month. He goes, Doug, I don't care. I'll give you 20% return on your money. Just please lend me the money for that 5 years so I can do this deal. He had me sold. He sold me at 20%. So he borrowed 105,000. And I had to come up with 95,000 or 90,
like that,
somewhere around that to come up with. So I made 10,000 plus whatever 10,500 or something on the points, and the payment at 20% was, I don't know, what was it, 1,300 and something? I forget. I don't remember. Maybe it was 1,600. I don't have a pencil to do the math or a calculator. But the payment was large at 20% on 105,000. It was maybe $1,600 or something.
Well, 10%.
10%.
Is
12% would have been 1,000. 12% would have been 1,000.
Yeah.
So it's almost
16,
1,700.
Yeah.
And so I don't know money, made the payment for probably 3 years, and after a while, I'm like, after I got, like say, all my money back, like the majority of money back, at 10 in the beginning and 20,000 a year for 3 years, I made 70, 80 grand on the deal already. And I'm like, you got to get out of this deal. What does it take? Well, I'm running low money to finish it. And I go, how much do you need? Well, I probably need about another, 35 grand. Well, let me loan you the 35 grand just so you can finish it and refinance to get your payment down, because you're paying too much interest on this. I felt bad. And he go, okay. So I loaned him another 35 grand to finish it. He couldn't finish it for the 35 grand. He says, Doug, if I can just stop making the payment to you, for, like maybe 5 or 6 months or so, then I can finish it. I go, okay. So no payment for 5 or 6.
So he is building the house.
He is. Oh yeah, no, it was going. No, it was rolling. He was almost done. He was close to being done, but it was, permits, regulations. They're making him make him do a fire system he didn't anticipate, and something extra, and the sump pump. It was rural, so it's a septic had to be done, something extra, and it always grows.
Yeah.
So and 6 months went by, and he goes, just give me another few months. It ended up being a year of no payments, which I added on to the loan. And then I told him, I said, you know what? Once you get your final permit and you're done, I'm going to chop the interest rate in half on these deals. The 35,000 I loaned him at 12%. That went to 6. The 20% went to 10. I feel a lot better now. The payments, $1,300 now or something. So he's totally good. And now we're actively looking for a loan for him to get him at, 6% on all of it, or 5.5% on all of it. So he has because he's making an interest only payment to me. Yeah. So we're looking for a loan that will give him a long-term amortized payment. I told him it's going to wrap your taxes and your insurance in on the deal too. So,
Right.
but I said it will be an all-inclusive payment. So you don't have to worry about coming up with taxes and insurance.
And have impound account.
And it will be, so
makes great sense.
yeah, but man, what a deal for me. And it's a total win-win. But I started feeling bad after all the interest he was paying. But a total win-win because nobody would have done the things that I did for him. No payments for a year, loan you an extra $35,000 to get you to the point where you're finishing it.
See, that makes the big difference between the private money,
right,
and institutional.
Sure.
Because no bank would have done that.
No bank would have done that. Oh yeah, don't worry about making payments to me for a year.
Yeah, right.
No, you're not going to find that. Oh, hey, I need another $35,000 to finish this job, but that didn't quite did it, so no payments. Yeah, no. So he loves me up there. He's just so happy, and I'm happy too because he's made me a lot of money on the deal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, then so just to finish my story on the rest of it is after I bought the up to 35 and I started selling off some of those properties down to 8. I wasn't doing anything for a number of years, probably 3, 4, maybe as much as 5 years, playing racquetball, golfing, taking my sand buggy to the sand, just enjoying life, doing whatever it is that I want to do, sleeping well, very little problems with the tenants that I had. Most of them are long-term tenants. And then, like I was telling you guys earlier, in 2024, just about a year and a half ago, those 3 properties fell in my lap.
And so you got 3 more.
And so I ended up
flipped them.
Yeah, then I ended up flipping those properties, and then I brought Nick in to start helping with getting some flips under his belt too.
And Nick's your son-in-law.
And Nick's my son-in-law. He's married to my daughter, who's an agent here, and now he's excited about doing these flippers too, and I'm excited for him. He's doing great as an agent. He probably doesn't need the headache of the flipper, but he's enjoying it, and I feel like he's learning a lot doing those.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited that he's learning the investor end of the business.
Right.
Because
that knowledge, and you bring that to a client if you're doing normal real estate, throws an agent to a whole nother level,
right,
in relationship to all the other agents that are in the industry.
Sure. Yeah, and I'm excited for him.
You speak differently.
Yeah.
You speak to somebody.
And you think differently.
Definitely.
You can really service a client much, much better.
Yeah.
So that's a good part for him. You've got to understand all this stuff.
For sure. No, for sure. And he is understanding it. He is. And I've always urged him, keep your eye out for rentals because, if you can get something and start bringing in, having your money make money for you so that you don't have to work so hard for your money, that makes a lot of sense to get involved. So I'm always kind of watching for stuff that might make sense for him. And we're always discussing what makes sense or running the numbers on this or running the numbers on that. And so I'm excited for him. And now he's got a few properties under his belt. So hopefully the wholesalers will be calling him. And so,
is there anything you wish you could do differently?
Yeah, maybe not those 2 loans that I lost money on. No, I'm pretty excited about what I had done. I mean, I've kept everything local, which is nice because back in the day, not so much anymore, but back in the day, if I had to throw a rent sign on or mow the lawn or water something on the way out to go get something to eat from the house, it's on the way. So it's not too far away. I like to keep stuff local.
Right.
And plus buying in an area that I'm familiar with what prices are really helps a lot.
Yeah.
When you know an area and you can recognize a deal quickly. And that's important to be able to have market familiarity so that you can recognize.
Yeah, no, the 2 sides of that. One is the market, and the other one is what we talked about really briefly is how do you know a good property, what you're trying to do with it.
For sure. Yeah.
So share with that. Like when you go into a property, what are you looking for? Like what makes it a good property or a bad property?
On a flipper or a rental or anything?
Both. There's 2 different sides. Of
Sure. Well, number one, if I'm doing a flipper, I want to stick with something that's on a slab and not a raised foundation, especially if I'm buying it from a wholesaler, because a wholesaler only gives you a half hour to an hour to go over there and kick the tires.
You can't crawl it then.
No, you can't crawl it then. It's not like a normal transaction where you lock it up in contract and now you got 14 days to get some inspector over there. And then if it doesn't work out and you don't like what you see, you can walk away harmless. These wholesalers, want to put $10,000 down, non-refundable deposit, and move forward with it. So if I'm getting a flipper, I would just as soon have something on a slab foundation. I would also just assume something that has dual pane windows already in it and something that has a good roof. Something that I don't have to go out and necessarily get permits for would be wonderful.
So fixing hole in the walls, doing carpet, stuff like that.
Yeah, lighter fixes stuff. Even if you have to do cabinets or countertops or a new tub surround or tub, new paint in and out. I mean, there's still a lot of things that will need to be done. Landscaping, hauling away the debris, number one, because every one of those has debris to be hauled away. Those are some of the things I'm looking for. I don't necessarily do a sewer or a sewer inspection on it, but I think it could be valuable as long as it's not a wholesale deal, because a wholesale deal, obviously you can't do that. But if you do get something that's right on the market, which I have found that some of these wholesalers that are bringing properties to me, they're actually on the market, which is surprising. So, and I'm not sure how they're locking them up, but I'll see a property or somebody will call me and say, hey, we got, this property available. I can get it to you for, $250,000. And then I look and I see it's either pending or was active shortly, and it was for sale for $290,000. So I'm thinking these wholesalers went down, beat it down to 250, and now they want to, or do down 230 or 225, and now they want to sell it to me for 250 to make 25 grand.
Right.
So it's pretty weird how some of those wholesalers are actually bringing me properties that are actively on the market or pending on the market, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So when I go to look at a property that's a flipper through a wholesaler, I'll try and keep it basic: slab, dual pane windows, roof already in place, so that I don't have to do something that's going to require a permit. Something that's not a big fix. If I'm doing something for a rental and it's on the market, I have a little more time. If I lock it up in contract, always with a contract, you have a period, 10 to 15 days to do inspections, kick the tires. And of course, it'd be great if you buy in a rental where it's already carpet's good, paint's good, everything's good. I mean, ideally.
Yeah, is that what you're looking for?
Well, if I'm buying a rental,
you have to put into it.
You know what the main thing is before I look at any of that is, does it pencil? Am I going to make a rate of return on my money? So if I'm spending $200,000 or $300,000 on a property, how much am I putting down? What's my loan amount going to be? What's the utility payment? What's the insurance payment? What's the taxes going to be? What's my total commitment to that property? Right. And now what is my rent? If my rent's $2,000 and my commitment is $2,200, I'm in trouble. I'm negative $200. I don't even think I want that thing, especially if I'm putting any money down.
Yeah.
If I'm putting no money down, I don't even think I like it. So the numbers have to make sense right out of the gate for me to even be interested in it. If I'm not making at least 5% return on my money, I won't even go kick the tires. I won't even go. But if indeed the numbers make sense, and I go to look at it, and I'm thinking about holding it for a rental, I'm gonna do some inspection. I'm gonna do a sewer inspection. I'm gonna have a home inspection, even though that's $500 or $600. I think I spend
worth it.
Well worth it.
Yeah.
A termite inspection. Right. So I would have professionals go over there and do some inspections for me. And then, of course, my visual inspections would say a lot too. How's it look? Are the carpet good? Is the cabinets good? Do they open fine? Is the counter...
Are there leaks? Is it
leaks? So...
mold somewhere?
Yeah, yard. Is the yard, going to hold up, or is it going to be trashed?
Yeah.
It's hard to try it locally anyways. here in Sacramento and even in California make the numbers work.
Oh, very hard right now. Very hard right now.
That's why we're doing a lot of stuff out of state.
I'm sure.
Because
Yeah.
they work.
Yeah.
They work. They
No,
make
I
sense.
totally understood it
But that's a whole nother set of rules too.
That's true.
So wherever you're operating, you have to have a set of rules about that. We're not excited.
The basics are the same. But
Yeah, the basics are the same.
Yeah.
But it's the quality of the property. For me, I'm not excited about buying an older property unless it's been completely redone.
Yeah.
For long distance, for managing.
Yeah, I bet.
Repairs. If you can buy something 5 years and younger and rent it, granite, tile, brick.
Beautiful.
I mean, it just makes really good sense.
For sure.
And good management company, good boots on the ground. Life's wonderful.
Yeah, good management company.
Yeah,
That's key to get a good tenant, because the tenant is really the key.
Yeah.
If you get a good tenant in there and they're long term.
And that's what's nice about single family.
Yeah.
You've experienced that.
Oh.
They just stay forever. They don't go anywhere.
I've had tenants a property I've owned for 28 years. I've got the same tenant in there, moved in there.
Yep.
28 years ago, they're still there now.
Yeah. Yep.
And they never call me for anything. I mean, if there's something serious, like there was a leak in the water line, the main water line that I had to repair, and then some branches were hitting the roof, but just a couple
or garbage disposal went out and
no, these people here, the oven went out. They went out and bought a new oven and put it in.
I'll be thankful.
I mean, these people are, and it's, for me, I do, and here's how I used to do it. Have you got the cash? Let's do the deal. I know that's not the best way. For me personally, I've had tenants that I'm moving in that I thought, wow, these are going to be great long-term tenants. And I never even got the first month's rent before I had to evict them. Never even got the first. I mean, I got the first month's rent when I moved them in, but the second month, I never got it. I thought these are going to be great long-term tenants. I've moved tenants in where I said, I'll be lucky to get the first month's rent, and they're still there 10 years later. So it's a roll of the dice for me when I'm moving in, and each time I'm dealing with an eviction attorney to evict somebody, they're like, oh, well, didn't you do a credit check on them? And I'm like, I did not, and I didn't do this, I didn't do that. I know I'm not doing it the right way. So management is important, because they will screen your tenants and try and get you the best tenant, because tenants are certainly the key.
Personally, I would rather sit vacant than have a bad tenant.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I agree with that, Mike. Yeah. I agree.
Until you get the right one, you just keep playing it, keep working it, and then eventually you get the right tenant. Yeah. So
I agree.
That's just been my experience in my portfolio.
Yeah.
What do you see going forward?
You've
been in accumulation mode, or you've been.
So what's your new phase?
Right now I'm doing the flippers with Nick right now. I've still got the 8 rentals that I have that's bringing in a nice little income.
And how many loans do you have?
I think
on properties that you sold
that I've sold or carried financing for. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I think five loans I have. That's bringing in a nice little income there too.
I call those mailbox money.
Yeah.
You really don't have anything.
No, it's great. It's great. Those loans are great. And so is although the interest rate has slipped, I think it's more like, 3.6 or 3.7 that I'm getting on my money market account now.
Yeah.
So it's not the greatest there. And I'm not a real stock market guy. So I'm really not invested in the stock market. So that's really only my extra money. So, but as far as the market moving forward, it's so funny, because I used to really value my own opinion on where I felt like where we're at in the market.
Well, I think I have to say you have some of the best sense of anybody that I've met.
Well, okay, thank you. I appreciate you saying that. And I felt that way. I felt like I know exactly where we're at in the market. I know what's going on. But ever since I sold those 27 properties, short of where I sold them to. Now, they were all winners, don't get me wrong. But ever since I sold those, and the prices have continued to rise and rise and rise. And people ask me, hey, where are we at in the market? Where do you think moving forward? And I'm like, I have no idea. Are we the next Bay Area and prices are just going to continue to soar? Or are we headed for a big crash? I have no idea. So honestly, I don't even know. I can only operate within this small little envelope that I'm working in short-term fixers. Fix it up, get it sold real quick. Fix it up, get it sold real quick. So that's, I'm not looking for any rentals because you can't make the numbers work here in this area. At least I know in out of state it makes sense.
Yeah.
So I'm not looking for any rentals here in this area. I'm just doing the flippers, and I've got my rentals that I have already, and the note income from the notes, and some residual money from the money market account on cash. And that's, that's really, I mean, I wish I knew where we're at in the market. I honestly do not. I used to pride myself in knowing exactly where we're at, and I'd buy, or I'd sell. And these days, I just don't know. I just don't, honestly. What about you guys? You got a sense for where we're headed in the market?
I feel, because I run a lot of stats. I look at a lot of different things.
I know you do.
I really feel like we're going to be stagnant for a while.
Yeah.
That's kind of, because the prices are high. So can they go higher? Certainly they can go higher.
But think of what we said 10, 15 years ago. Can they go higher? I don't know.
Right.
And they did.
I know, it's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yes, it can
I'm always surprised at how people can spend money.
Yeah.
And by that, I mean, they'll pay more rent. And okay, so here was where everything shifted for me, because back in 2019, I thought, okay, things are expensive, and you sold all your properties. You probably felt the same way I did, which is, hey, we're getting towards kind of that peak over the top. And then come the beginning of 2020, and then in March, and COVID hit, everything shifted. By May and June, we were on a tear.
Big tear.
And
everybody was telling me, Mike, the market's going to crash. We're going to go back to 2008. Are you going to do more REO? What's going to happen? I said, this is not going to happen. It's just not going to happen.
Right.
And I kept saying,
we would talk. I'm like, Mike, I think it's going down. He's like,
it's going down. I said, no, it is not. This is a pause. So look at 9/11. What happened? We had a 3-month, 4-month pause when 9/11 happened, and the market took off like a rocket.
Yeah.
I said, this is just a temporary
March, April, May, and June we were.
Yeah.
And everybody was showing houses with masks on, and we were wiping down houses, and the market just took off like a rocket.
Oh my gosh, it did it ever.
Yeah.
So.
And everyone is undecided.
Yeah.
So, okay,
the point
going
is,
past that,
I'm always right.
I love it.
I can't say always, but he's more right than I am.
Yeah.
I have a high percentage.
He has a good vibe on markets.
That's good.
Too,
That's good.
I learned by experience. So we got to 2020, and we're on a tear to 2021, and then the interest rates reset and went up to like 5%, which is still, everyone would die for 5% right now.
Yeah.
And then 6%, and then 7%, then almost 8%. And we've been really quite stagnant since 2002.
Yeah.
I thought, okay, affordability, that's really what drives buyers, because that's what drives demand.
Sure.
It's people's capacity to be able to buy. So they have motivation to buy and capacity to buy. And then you have all the sellers. Well, there's nothing pushing the sellers to sell. Still, like 70% of them have very low interest rates.
Yeah.
And so there's nothing really pushing the sellers to sell.
Right. They don't want to sell and get something that's high 5s or low 6%.
Right. Yeah. You're
when they're paying 2.5 or 3.
Yeah. Right.
Here's a prediction. I think that sometime in the future, maybe in the next 2 to 3 years, maybe sooner, the first digit in a mortgage rate will be a 3, could even be a 2.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think we're going to stay in 6 and 7s. So we'll see.
I really think we're going to hit that again. Because we've done it before.
Yeah.
And there's going to be a real strong push to get to that.
I think the market's going to push the other way.
Which then will fire up the market and the refi.
If you
understand how the banking system works, they make money by doing loans, even at the low interest rate, because they have a lot of upfront fees.
Well, they make money on the spread. So they always charge a spread over whatever the index is. So everything's got to go down at that end.
Because
I don't think it's going to happen.
Because right now we're starting to see some refis happening at the 5.75%. So the refi market has kicked up a little bit.
Yeah.
So if it drops back down, the refi market is just going to go cuckoo, and home buyers are going to be out there sellers are going to be out there selling some of their properties to homeowners, and they're going to be upgrading. So they're going to move up. The move up buyers will start happening.
Sure.
So, and it's a national thing.
Yeah.
So where it changed for me as we got into 21, 22, 22 was high, the market peaked almost everywhere. And then 23, and I was looking at the market, and, Mike and I track 800 cities around the nation. And we're tracking both for rents as well as price. So I was looking at the price, and the price is pretty stagnant all across the nation. But what I saw, and this is what changed my mind on the market, I thought, oh, well, it's very likely going to come down. And then it didn't, and nothing happened. But then I saw the rents go up, and they jumped substantially over the course of 3 or 4 years from like 2020. So the prices went up a lot, but the rents didn't go up that much in 2020, 21. But then they kept going up.
Yeah.
And so it became more, because I just look at a gross rent multiplier.
Yeah.
But like, what's your price and your rents relative to your price?
Right.
And what I saw in like 2020 and 2021 was that got really out of whack. And then in 2022, 23, it came back to normal.
Yeah.
I think nationally it was like 15 gross rent multiplier.
Yeah.
So the gross rent multiplier is the number of times the rent is into the price of the property.
Right.
And the lower, the better. That is, you're getting more rent relative to the price of the property.
Yeah. I bought 7 units in Tennessee, a 5-unit and a duplex side by side. When I bought them, they were running around $650, $700 a month each unit. Each one is over $1,000 now.
Wow.
Yeah. I think,
and the mortgages are almost paid off
because the cost of everything has gone up so much. I think the high prices in property prices is just, it doesn't make that much of a difference anymore.
Is that? Yeah. Is that something the management company had dictated the increases in rents?
Well, yeah, the market just took off, and every time you had a vacancy,
then a new tenant moved in,
new
and
tenant,
was more.
you just keep bumping up, and then annually we kept bumping the rents.
Annually as well.
Yeah. On top of all that, so
you
have 7 units at $1,000 minimum.
Yeah, it's all
plus because you got one that's like one's like 7.25 or $1,025. Another one is $950. Another one's $1,050. So on average, $1,000.
Yeah, and even if it softens, it only softens a little bit. I track the duplex sales, and you see the average price of rents. And what happened, it went up to 2005, which is when we peaked here in the Sacramento area.
Yeah.
And then it went flat once we peaked. And it flat all the way through the downturn. So even though everything dropped more than 50%, like 60, 70%, some places 80%, we still saw almost the same rents all the way across that period. And then it didn't go up until, then the price market had to go back up, and then the rents started coming up.
The key to investing is there's no bad time, in my opinion, to invest.
The bad property in the wrong time.
That's right. You just have to run the numbers correctly.
Yeah.
Can you weather the storm if a storm is coming?
Yeah.
So a lot of my properties I bought, I went through the 08 mess, and I still held the properties. I could weather the storm. I had the income. I had the cash flow. Everything made sense. I even sold my house at the peak and bought another house upgraded at the peak.
Yeah.
But I put all the money down on it. So the the value dropped from $525,000 down to like $280,000. But my mortgage was only $150,000. Right. So I never went negative on the loan balance to the market.
Right.
And it was my utopia. I mean, the place had a view, had everything, outdoor living, kitchen, the whole 9 yards. Well, I either ride that down, market down, living in that kind of environment, or a house that was built in 1978 with 8-foot ceilings.
Yeah.
And in a track.
And write that down.
Or write that down.
Yeah.
And that was only $350,000. So I'm going to write that down to $150,000? Yeah. No, I would rather live glamorously.
That makes sense.
And ride.
How many rentals do you have now?
I have about 14 doors. Yeah. So I have a 5-unit duplex and some single family.
All out of state.
Yeah, and we have some lots, and then I also own a lot in Tennessee. So I bought some land.
Yeah.
Because it made sense.
Yeah,
And I bought it in my retirement.
A lot of people moving out to Tennessee.
Oh, gosh.
There's so many people I talk to. They're going out to, yeah.
Well, if you look at the states that don't charge state income tax, that's where the migration is.
Yeah.
Florida, Texas, Nevada.
Yeah.
Montana. Prices are going crazy.
Yeah, but now you have weather issues when you're in those northern states. Yeah. So there's a trade-off for that.
Snow weather issues?
No, it's not the snow. It's the cold. It's like 20 below. It's like wind chill. It's
20 below on a good day.
On a good day. That's crazy.
So going back to what you're saying, or where I think the market's going, I don't know. I mean, something could happen, and we've got enough craziness going on politically and internationally, and that something could kick off that drives the prices up again, or it could be that causes people to dump properties.
Yeah.
I think it'll all calm down, and I think the real estate market is going to do very well.
Well, I think if the rates go extremely low, rates would be a big factor. If rates go down into the threes, you're going to see prices jump.
Yeah, and it'll take a while.
If they go to 10, you're going to see prices drop.
Well, I really think real estate is going to continuously go up, not big numbers. We might see 1.5%, 2%, 2.5% on an annual growth rate, which is very sustainable.
Yeah.
It's fine. It works. The rents are going to balance out and level out. I don't think the rents are going to go up significantly because that's tenants. They can only afford based on income.
Right.
So you have an affordability balance that's there. So
that's what I think. I want to throw onto that the more government intervention. I say that broadly, like in a large city like LA or Portland, you're going to have more government influence over stuff that goes on. You have more problems, friction. More people want to solve. You have more people, more problems, and more things that need to get solved there.
Sure.
So as you get more government influence in a market, I think it's more common that, and I've seen this in various places around the world, all over the world, I believe, is that the prices can go up substantially and the rents don't necessarily keep pace. That is, the spread between the two can go up and can get larger. Higher prices, lower rents, and then it becomes a non-rental market. I mean, they're still the renters, but a lot of them are either inherited or they're just people who've owned it for 50 years.
Right.
So that makes it hard for all the new folks to step in.
Yeah. And then Wall Street's being pushed back out. They're buying up all kinds of stuff.
Right.
Yeah. And I've talked about this for 10 years. Wall Street stepping in and buying, actually longer than that. Because there was that Japanese gentleman that bought 3 major subdivisions here. I was in the middle of all that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We helped sell one of those subdivisions with the office I was managing. And that changed how we do notices, evictions, and that kind of stuff in the state of California.
That alone.
Experience, that alone, that one situation.
Yeah, changed from you got to give a 60-day notice instead of a 30-day notice after they've been there for a year.
Yep.
And there's a number of other things too. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and now we have rent controls here and all that kind of stuff. So that is what happens in an industry, and it can change very quickly.
Yeah.
Now, you're an avid learner.
I try. I try to learn what I can.
Yeah, tell me more, because I think some people think, I just get in the right business and then I'll just.
Oh no,
I can be lazy in the rest of my life.
Things constantly change, like Mike was just saying. Now you got new rules for evictions, and now things change and numbers change, and you kind of have to be soaking up everything all the time, even when you're at this point where we're all at. Just like you're always looking at numbers and checking trends in numbers and doing analytical stuff. So I try and soak it up anything I can. If you feel like you know it all, that's the time when you don't know anything.
Yeah.
If you feel like you know it all, you better regroup and be a learner. Want pay attention to whatever it is, different aspects, numbers, analyzing whatever. So yeah, all learning is.
Get your book.
Yeah, get my book.
What's your advice to the younger generation, kids in their 20s? My son's 23.
Save money and get in, beg, borrow, steal, whatever you're going to do to get that piece of property. And when you own first, buy your first property, because as we all know, and me, even as a 40-year real estate investor, the best money I can make is the money I can make on my own home, because all that money comes to me tax-free after I've lived there for a while. So my best investment ever is a home to live in for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And then it can grow from there. If indeed the equity goes, which I've seen equity outpace a person's income, their equity in their home grows. So don't go borrow that money and put a pool in your house and do this and do that. If you borrow that money to get it into investment that's going to make more sense, that's going to yield a better return than what you're borrowing it at. Don't at this point use that equity. I've seen people charge up their Visa bills and their credit cards, and then they go borrow money on their house to pay off their bills. You're doing the wrong thing.
Or they'll go buy a big truck for $100,000. So, a year later it's worth 75.
Yeah,
and a year later it's worth 50.
Still buy a house.
Yeah. Don't do it. Don't
and their payment's $1,200 a month.
Because when your equity grows, especially when it outpaces your income, there's a chance for you to have financial freedom right there. That's a chance for you to be financial free from the grind, to get off the hamster wheel.
Yeah.
But don't borrow it to go pay off credit bills that you've been terrible with your budget. Get to your finances. Don't live beyond your means.
Yeah, live frugally.
Yeah, live frugally. Don't borrow that chance at financial freedom and go squander it away on, like Mike said, a truck or something that's going to lose value. Get it into something that's going to grow in value and make a better return than what you're borrowing that money at. Mm-hmm. So save your money.
Arbitrage.
Get a savings account.
Trust me, when you get older, it makes a ton of sense. It's all about quality of life as you get older, and you can just do what you need to do.
Yeah.
When you're young and have lots of energy, just go for it. You can take a little more risk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I found that as we all get older, the risk level goes down. I'm not as risky. I'm not going to.
Well, my hassle.
I'm not going to go jumping in the ski jumps like that.
Yeah, right. No,
I don't want to break that hip or the knee.
I know.
That's right.
I'm more fragile.
Yeah, you're more fragile for sure. Yeah.
I find my hassle limit goes down too. Like stuff that I would do in my 30s, I look at it and go, I could do it and I'd make money at it. I don't want to do it.
I know. That's why
That's what life is all about.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's
Good
been
stuff.
absolutely fabulous.
Yes, thank you to
Good
both
conversation.
of you. Thank you to both of you. It's
Thank
been
you.
great. Really, I appreciate you inviting me in and talking. I love talking real estate. It boils my blood.
Yeah.
I got diarrhea of the mouth when I start talking about real estate. Sometimes you just got to shut me up. Sometimes I'm telling people, and I'm saying in my head, I'm running my mouth about this and that to somebody, and in my head I'm saying, Doug, just shut up. Doug, just shut up.
Yeah,
but my mouth just continues to run about real estate. I can't help it. So
we could probably spend another 2-3 hours.
Probably
share a lot of great stories.
Probably
because we go way back to the 80s with your dad and stuff.
Yeah.
I could tell you stories. It's just,
I would love it. I got to come in and hear those stories.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
okay. Thanks again.
Okay.
Yes, my pleasure.
You bet.
Thank you again so much, you guys.
Okay.
Okay.